Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So from the 11th of November 2025, the UK government will be making some changes to the immigration framework, and some of those changes that will be enforced will impact those who are on the student visa or the graduate visa, those on the work visa, and even those on other work visas like the high potential individual visa, to mention a few. Now some of those visas will be capped. The financial requirements to get in some of those visas will be increased, among many other things that will be changing on the UK immigration policies. Now, if you check out what is on this publication, it says that the United Kingdom will enforce a sweeping reform to its immigration framework from the 11th of November 2025 under the statement of changes in immigration rule presented to Parliament on the 14th of October the same year, 2025. Now, the Home Office has introduced wide-ranging amendments affecting nearly all visa categories, replacing the existing refusal framework and restructuring routes for work, study, family, and humanitarian applicants. So people on all of those different visa categories will be impacted by some of the amendments that was presented to Parliament on the 14th of October. And the plan basically is that these changes should take effect from the 11th of November 2025. Now, if you go further to read the publication, it says that the Unified Rulebook under Parts Suitability, the centerpiece of the reform is the replacement of Part 9, Ground for Refusal, which is a new framework titled Part Suitability. This change applies across most visa routes, including work, study, family, and visit categories. It established a single standard for refusals, cancellation, revocation of permission to enter or stay in the United Kingdom. Now, the publication went further to say that the Home Office said that the decision will now be classified as mandatory or discretionary. A refusal will be mandatory when an applicant has a serious criminal conviction, a deportation order, or has used deception in an application. Now, the discretionary refusal will apply in cases involving minor offenses, unpaid NHS debt, or failure to attend interviews or provide biometrics. So this is basically around the refusal. So this whole refusal thing is now being classified into two different categories, one which is mandatory, the other one which is discretionary. So if you fall under any of these cases, like you have minor offenses, unpaid NHS debt, which I've seen quite a number of immigrants on the visa are currently facing, especially those. I've had situation of people who had their children or had a child in the UK, and this is really important for those who are having children in the UK. I had situations of people who had their children in the UK, and for some reason they had a couple of medical appointments with the NHS, with the GPs, and they got like loads of medical support from the NHS. And because the child was born and they didn't apply for a dependent visa for the child, and for the UK, the fact that you've got a child doesn't mean that your child eligible or is automatically eligible for citizenship. Now, these individuals were on skilled worker visa. I know some of them were on student visa, some on the graduate road visa. The child had lots of appointment with the hospital, and months down the line, they got a letter from the NHS telling them that they've got a debt. They've got £3,000 debt. I know someone who got £8,000 debt because their child, who was born in the UK, had a whole lot of medical situations that involved lots of tests and among many other things. Now, so if you have such a debt and you refuse to pay, this can affect, this is a discretionary refusal, this can affect your next application. So all you need to do is to make sure you put a call through to the trust that you got a letter from and try to work out the payment plan, because you have to pay the debt. Because if you have any NHS debt, it can affect your next application. It can lead to a discretionary refusal from the Home Office. Now, applicants may also face cancellation of permission if their sponsor withdraws, they stop working or studying, or their circumstances materially change after entry. Those who lose permission through the sponsor will also see dependent permission revoked. So yeah, the moment you lose your license, your sponsor decided to withdraw that license to sponsor you, automatically affect you and every other dependent that falls under that particular visa, which is something they're trying to be very strong about. Now, standardization of overstaying and re-entry rule. The update rule codify clear term-based bans for previous breaches of the immigration law. So if you've had any previous breach of UK immigration law, you get to have a clear term-based ban. Now, individuals living voluntarily at their own expense will face 1-year ban. All right. Now, those departing at public expense within 6 months will be barred for 2 years. Now, those removed at public expense or who used deception in the application will face 10 years exclusion. So this is part of the changes that was passed into law. Now, talking about other visa categories that will be affected on this amendment made, which is to take effect from the 11th of November 2025. It's around the student and child student routes. The student and child student routes. Now, all applicants will now be subject to path suitability, updated financial requirements, raise living cost threshold to £1,529 per month in London and £1,171 outside London. Now, guardianship and living arrangement must involve a British or a settled adult. Very important. Now, under the family and private life routes, applications under family and private life categories will be assessed against path suitability. Now, applicants found to have used a deception, entered sham marriages or owed NHS or litigation debts will need to complete 10 years of lawful residence before qualifying for settlement. That's those on the family and private life routes. Existing safeguards for victims of domestic abuse and bereaved partners remain unchanged, so there's no major change made around that. Now, another visa route that's been affected is the work and the business route. Now, skilled worker, scale up, global business mobility, and innovator founder route will follow the new suitability standards. Sponsors must maintain compliance or risk cancellation of permission for workers. Now, the English language level for the skilled worker and scale-up applicant will rise from B1 to B2 with transitional arrangements for those already holding permission to live and work in the United Kingdom. Now, there's also a plan around the high potential individual visa route. This will now be capped to 8,000 applications annually from November 1 each year. This rule also recognizes research as a valid purpose to stay under the category. Now, there's some of the changes that have been made, amendments that have been made on the UK immigration policy. Anyone that affects you or will affect your future application, please take note and ensure that you're well informed of some of this amendment. And if you have any questions, any concerns, please state those questions in the comment section. And the UK immigration policy keeps changing, constantly changes. There's still more changes that's going to come up before the end of the year 2025, especially around the indefinite leave to remain. The proposed plan to increase that from 5 years to 10 years. We haven't gotten any definitive feedback from the Home Office on this yet, but definitely there's going to be something that's going to come out. And one of the major questions, or one of the few questions that has been asked is, would this impact those already in the UK? Would this impact those on the work visa? Would this be a going forward policy? Would it affect only those who will be applying for a work visa from a particular time? I mean, there's so many questions that has been asked, but yeah, there's no definite answer to some of these questions from the Home Office at this moment. But if you have any question, sit in the comment section. If you're coming across my channel for the first time, do well to hit on the subscribe button. I share everything UK immigration, transition into tech, and personal finance on this channel. You might want to hit on the red subscribe button. And for my returning subscribers, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you guys. So this will be the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you.